Every week, Steve Young joins KNBR to talk about the San Francisco 49ers and specifically quarterback Brock Purdy. And it is must listen to radio and listen to what Steve Young had to say about Brock Purdy's performance against the Rams right here.
What'd you think of the? Look, they did what good teams do. You're not going to blow everybody out. You're not going to impose your will every single game. But in the second half, when they needed to, the defense got more aggressive. The defense picked up, and they did what they needed to do to get a road win against a divisional opponent.
Well, and let's just say this: the Rams are not going to just fall over this year. You can see that Matthew Stafford is healthy, and when he's healthy, he can wing it. I mean, he makes. His history is I put balls in places that maybe I shouldn't, but I'm leaning in, and so that's what happened last week. And then without Cooper Kupp, how about now that Puka Nacua is catching 15 a game out of BYU, by the way, but setting records. You can say when Cooper gets healthy and the defense can kind of solidify, the Rams aren't going to just. I thought they're going to be terrible. They're not going to be terrible. In fact, you can smell them coming. That if they can kind of keep Matthew healthy, they'll be good. So I think they played a better Rams team than we thought. That's number one. And then we got done what we needed to do because the defense is going to lead. Like they are going to keep people under 21 or 24 so that we can keep in that 30 to 20 against good teams or above average teams where I think the Rams could be at some point is kind of how you want to think about it. And the real question I think, Tom, that you have to ask out of last week is Brock and how we're thinking about every game now. This is his 9th game or 10th game. And it's like, we want to define Brock forever based on what we've seen. And I think we need to be careful. When I said last summer, we got to let Brock cook because I told you the guardrails last week were tighter than most people. In other words, I'm not going to give you a terrible game, but I'm probably not going to be the guy that's going to wing it around and throw 80 yards and behind my back like Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to give you really solid quarterbacking. And so this is within that guardrail. And then you ask yourself, what the way Brock played this last weekend, if that was the mean, if that was the average that you're going to get out of him forever, I'm not saying it is, but if it was, is that okay? Is that enough? And I think with this team, you'd say, yes, it's proven. Last week it proved to be true. There might be a few games when it's not, and we're going to need more. And I'm not saying he can't do that, but I just feel like we're asking a young quarterback to be mistake-free, which he is most of the time, and move this football team that's heavily regarded and has think about walking into that huddle when everybody on the team that's been around a little while saying, we're going to the Super Bowl and you take us. And he says, okay, I will. I mean, it's a heck of a thing. So I think week to week, is it okay that Brock plays that way? I think that what we don't want from Brock is those 4 interception games we've seen from players, or devolve, strip sacks and quick 6 points and turn. Like we just need to kind of hang in there, and I'm happy with how he's cooking, I guess.
Yeah, and don't give me the bad play at their worst time. One of those type of deals.
Right, where you're holding your breath. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the moment that you get Yeah, I agree with you. We've had that.
But it's so you look at it, and you mentioned Patrick Mahomes, and he's got Kelsey and who? Like, no, a casual fan can't name Sky Moore. They don't know Rashee Rice. Right. They don't know these guys, but that's not who Brock has. I mean, you can't get much better. If you can get any better than Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, and McCaffrey. So all you got to do is get it to him. Like, all you got to do is do what you do, and that's it.
Yep. In the league today, other quarterbacks around the league are so jealous of Brock Purdy because he gets this innovative offense. He gets these guys to throw the ball to, and he gets Trent Williams to protect them. You know what I mean? Like, we just, that doesn't happen in the league. You don't get this kind of support. And either you get the lack of support from the coach who doesn't understand the position, or you get the lack of support on the field because you don't have the weapons, or you can't get protected. Like, everybody is missing something in that triangle or that three-legged stool, and the 49ers have the strongest three-legged stool. I don't know, this is a stupid analogy, or I'm running out of time already on it. But as anybody in the league, and so there's real jealousy for what Brock gets to be a part of. And I think he wants to kind of mature into every inch of it. But don't kid yourself. When Matthew Stafford's looking across the field, he's like, holy crap, what would it be like to play for that guy, that unit,
Absolutely. So I got a theory, and I think I've run it by you before, but I'll run it by you again because a lot of people were talking about the deep balls that he missed, and I didn't make too much of it because you can miss deep balls. But I do notice, I have a tendency to notice guys that aren't fully confident in the ability to throw the deep ball tend to try to get it there quicker than maybe they should. Instead of putting a little air under it and let the receiver kind of adjust to it, they want to get the ball there. So it's a little bit more in a line, and you have a tendency to overthrow those type of balls. Is that right?
You have to. It's very astute of you because your arm, you don't think that you can wait and then deliver it, on a rocket ship. That it needs to get in the air earlier. And by definition, you don't get as much data to put it in the right spot. You have to let it go just a little fraction earlier, and you don't know exactly the angle or exactly what, because a lot of times the post or the deep routes, there's an angle that the receiver takes about 20 yards that you now the ball needs to match that. And if you have to let it go earlier, there are times where, the angle, you say overthrow, but a lot of times it's just the wrong, he threw it on the wrong trajectory of the angle that the guy ended up taking that you didn't get a chance to see because you need to let it go earlier. And that's the thing with Brock is Brock was drafted low in the draft because everyone did the measurables and said, well, no, that's not the strongest arm in the world. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Like, those things aren't different. And so that's where he says to you, I'll figure it out. Like, say all that, and I understand that, but let's figure it out. And I think that's where he's figuring it out. And give him, again, let him cook. Let him figure out how to manage the assets that he has into the playing week to week, because he's still very, very young. And so you make a great point. Those balls go up early because he has to, and because of that, they're less likely because it's just the risk factor in it because it has to go up earlier is higher, and that he's got to now figure out how to get the ball up early and communicate with his receivers. Maybe give me the angle earlier. Maybe give me a sense of where you're headed earlier because that ball's got to come out or else I can't get you 60 yards downfield. So that's you make a great point, Tom. That's very, very true.
Steve Young is always on point when it comes to breaking down the San Francisco 49ers quarterback position and how to see how these players are actually performing. Shout out to KMBR for always getting this great insight from Steve Young. Make sure you follow them on their YouTube channel. And as always, let me know how you felt about this interview and what he had to say in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more.